Hey everybody, what's going on? I am the Admiral, and this is my first, hopefully of many, Pokemon Top 10 videos! Huzzah! So what I'm basically going to be doing is, I'm going to be creating a bunch of Pokemon Top 10s, Bottom 10s, Regular 10s, Generation 10s, Type 10s, I don't know. Whatever else I can think of that has to do with the top 10 in Pokemon, I'm going to be making a video of it. So, let's go ahead and get started with Episode 1. Generation 1, of course. But we're doing this with regard to Generation 4. And my example for that is that Flare Blitz is a move, Close Combat's also going to be a move, so let's go ahead and get started. And from here we have our honorable mentions from Generation 1 that were so close, kind of, but didn't make it. We've got an Aerodactyl. We've got the Vaporeon, Flareon, Jolteon trio. We have Tentacool, a very, very underrated Pokemon from Generation 1, might I add. We've got Starmie. We've got Cloyster, another very underrated Pokemon from Generation 1. And, of course, we had to throw Pikachu in there because who doesn't love Pikachu? Well, too bad he wasn't in my top 10, so let's go ahead and start with number 10. Number 10? Yes, most people don't like this Pokemon, but my number 10 is Exeggutor. Why? His base stat is 520, and he's got a very, very high special attack. 125 is very, very good. Very underrated special attacker. He's got Chlorophyll as an ability. You give him some sun, you make that Solar Beam a one-turn move, doubles his speed. It's a really good combo, and then you give him the Hypnosis, Psychic, Dream Eater, whatever other combination you want to give him. He's just a well-rounded Pokemon. He's coming in at number 10. Now we're going to move on to number 9. Yes, very dark color. So, take a guess. Oh wait, it's a dark Pokemon. Number 9, coming in Gengar. Base stat 500. Now if you noticed, Exeggutor had a higher base stat. Oh well, I think Gengar is a better Pokemon, mostly because of its typing. It's Poison Ghost, which means it's weak to Ghost, Dark, Ground, and Psychic types. And then when you give it Levitate, it gets rid of the weakness to Ground. It's a 500 base stat Pokemon, like I said before. It's got a good special attack and a good speed, making it a decent special sweeper with type resistance from normal and fighting. You give it Destiny Bond. It's a great move. You give it Shadow Ball, another special attack. I don't care. The other thing is that from Generation 1, it's part of the only Ghost type evolution series, meaning Ghastly, Haunter, and Gengar are the only Ghost types from Generation 1. Which is why Gengar might not be the best Ghost type in general, but in Generation 1, it's coming in at number 9. We're going to move on to number 8 now. Yes, we had to put the starter in there, Venusaur. Now, it's really close between which one of him and Exeggutor is actually better. I think Venusaur barely edges him out, mostly because he's got a defined set of whatever he is. He's a special tank, meaning he's got high special attack, high special defense. And you look at it, it's 100. He's got 525, that's higher than Gengar. So, Venusaur, yes, it's one of the starters, so it's not that difficult to get, while Exeggutor, Execute's not exactly easy to get, because you got to do the whole Safari Zone thing, and that's just a pain in the ass because you can't damage anybody. Gengar is easy to get. Bulbasaur you have the option to start out with. But coming in at number 8 in our Generation 1 top 10 is Venusaur. Now we're going to move on to number 7. This is where things started to get tougher. Number 7, Lapras. Now, as you all may remember from the anime, Lapras was one of Ash's best Pokemon. And most people probably remember it from the Orange League, where he rode around on it, and it was just a boss Pokemon. Another Pokemon from Generation 1 that's very easy to get, mainly because you get it in Saffron City, in the building that the Rockets have taken over. You talk to the scientist right next to where you battle your rival, and he just gives you a free Lapras level 25. It's another very well-rounded Pokemon. It's got base stat 535. It's water ice typing. A lot of people remember it as Laura Lee's strongest Pokemon, and it's deserving of being her strongest Pokemon. It's a very, very solid Pokemon. That's why it's coming in at number 7 in our Generation 1 Top 10. Now we're going to go ahead and move on to number 6. The only normal type coming in the top 10. Yes, that may have just given it away, but I don't care. It's the big guy. It's Snorlax. Snorlax has got a base stat, 540. Unbelievable HP amounts. Unbelievable special wall. He basically just wrecks special Pokemon. Why? Because most special attackers have a lower defense. And you look at Snorlax, his attack stat is 110, along with his 110 special defense. And he's just basically one of those Pokemon that it's fun to set up Curse with. Why? Because he's already got a pretty bad speed. You increase his defense and his attack, so it makes him just one of those Pokemon that's just stuck right in a battle. He's just one of those Pokemon that's not going to go anywhere, and you give him the ability, or the, what's it called? Yeah, the ability. Immunity, meaning he can't get poisoned. Well, you can't toxic to get rid of it. So the only status you can get on it that'll do residual damage would therefore be Burn. The other way to get rid of its health is Leech Seed, which is very beneficial because it's got such a HP, it just takes so much damage. So you put those two on there, and most of the time it's holding leftovers. It's just not going to go anywhere. So Snorlax coming in number 6 in the top 10. We're going to get down into the top 5. We got another water type, another starter. Wow, I can't believe I forgot about that word. Blastoise. Blastoise, honestly, probably my favorite Pokemon from Generation 1. I mean, everybody was out there taking Charmander every time because Charizard was so OP and overpowered and blah blah blah. I was taking Blastoise just because I didn't want to be like everybody else. Blastoise, you got great defense, 100, 105. What more could you ask for? I mean, just look at it. It looks like a badass. It's got cannons. Excuse me. It's got cannons on its back. Cannons. I don't understand why people don't like this Pokemon as much as Charizard. It just looks cool as hell. And it's got decent typing. It's just water, which means it doesn't have any added weaknesses. It's only weak to electric and grass. And honestly, when you battle your rival in Generation 1, they don't have any electric types. In fact, nobody in the Pokemon League has any electric types. And the only electric type gym leader is Lieutenant Surge. And it's so easy to beat him. All you gotta go do is catch a Diglett from Diglett's Cave. Honestly, he was so easy to beat. And now I'm getting off topic, but we got Blastoise coming in, my favorite Pokemon from this generation, at number 5. Moving on up to number 4. A lot of people are not going to like this Pokemon being down at number 4, but yes, I just talked about him. It's Charizard. Charizard, based at 534. I don't know why they decided to do that. I don't know why they did the 109 attack. I don't know why they couldn't just do 110. They do that for seemingly all starter fire types. I don't know. I don't know why they do that. But it's got good typing, fire flying. The only problem is ×4 weakness to rock. So I guess that kind of makes up for his immunity from ground. Weak to water and electric. Charizard, a lot of people's favorite Pokemon. He's coming in at number 4, though. He's not even in my top 10 list the best fire type from this generation. But good moveset, good stats. Charizard coming in at number 4. We're going to move on to number 3, who is the strongest water type from Generation 1. If you know the Pokemon series, you know who it is. Of course, it's Gyarados. Water flying type. I don't know. I'm really wondering why they didn't make it dragon type. I don't know. Not up to me. The same reason Charizard isn't a dragon type. Yeah, I guess you could do that. But they decided no. Based at 540, so it's up there with the highest we've seen so far. Water flying type makes it ×4 weak to electric, which is the only problem with it, because a lot of teams carry an electric move. Just an electric move. Doesn't need to be a Raichu or a Jolteon. Come to think of it, we don't have any electric types in this top 10, do we? I guess Jolteon was the honorable mention, so he kind of counts. That's not the point. So Charizard. Gyarados, I'm looking right at it. I don't know why I said Charizard. It's got good HP, good attacks, good special defense. Very good attack. Base 125. That's unbelievable. Can you give it Intimidate, which cuts the opponent's attack in kinda half? It's not exactly half, but that's not the point. So he's got high HP. He's built to stay in there. If you give it a subset, or you can give it a lot of sets. Set number 1, you can give it sub with Flail. You put it at a base HP. It's 1 plus something that's evenly divisible by a 4. So 325, 401 examples. I don't know if Charizard, or again with this calling it Charizard thing, I don't know if Gyarados gets up there, but you give it that, you sub it down 4 times to 1 HP, it gets a boost, you can DD set up with it, you can make it bulky, if it moves like Waterfall, thanks to Generation 4, is a physical move, that's specifically why, so instead of it all being Water type, it's all special, which didn't really do Gyarados justice, but once they made him physical, moves like Waterfall, Aqua Tail, not just all special, you give it Stone Edge, you give it Earthquake, you give it Bounce to get the stab boost. Gyarados comes in as a very, very strong Pokemon, a good sweeper. And that's why it's coming in at number 3. Coming in at number 2 is probably the Pokemon people are going to wonder about the most. Why not this at number 4 switched? Again, if you know Generation 1, you know which fire type this is. Of course, it's Arcanine. I just want to start out by saying his nickname. His nickname is the legendary Pokemon. Rumor has it he was supposed to be one of the legendaries, but he's not, which is good for the gameplay, because now you can actually catch it more easily. Give it base stat 555, very solid, the highest one we've seen so far. It's just a solid fire type, and it just looks like a badass. You give it a CB, Choice Band, you can give it all the physical moves, Extreme Speed for the priority, give it Flare Blitz, which is another reason why we're doing with respect to Generation 4, you give it Close Combat, give it Will-O-Wisp, I don't care what you do with it. It's got good offense, decent speed, but it's another one of those well-rounded Pokemon. Arcanine, another one of my favorites, coming in number 2. And before we even go to number 1, I'm going to give you guys all 5 seconds to guess who it is if you haven't already figured it out. 5, 4, 1, I'm impatient. Alright, coming in at number 1, of course, Dragonite. What kind of list would this be if you didn't put the most powerful Pokemon from Generation 1 in the number 1 slot? Also, as you can see, that this has a lot more written on it, so I'm going to read through this quickly. Based at 600 types, Dragon Flying, giving it 4 times weakness to Ice. So a good item to give it is a Yacht Berry, which weakens Ice-type moves, just like giving Blissey a Chople Berry, weakens Fighting-type moves, makes moves like Counter even better, or whatever you want to give it. It's part of, like Gengar, it's part of the only Dragon-type evolution set from Generation 1, along with Dratini and Dragonair. It is just such a well-balanced Pokemon. So we've got all 6 of its stats listed here, as opposed to Lapras, we only had 5, Gyarados, we had 3, blah blah blah. So I'm going to read it spreads fast. 91, 134, 95, 100, 180. You can do whatever you want with it. You can do whatever you want with it. And then you give it its ability. Multiscale, I think it's called? And I think that might be a Generation 5 ability. I'm not entirely sure. You guys can go ahead and let me know in the comments section below. I want to say it's 5th generation, but when you're at full HP, you take less damage. So you give it a move like, I don't know, Recover, if it can even learn that. You give it Leftover so it can get back up there, even after taking damage from like Stealth Rock or something, or from Burn or whatever. You get it back up there to 100. It takes less damage. You heal back. Roost, that's the move it gets. That's right, Dragonite learns Roost. You get it back up to 100. You keep setting up with it. You give it Sub, you give it DD, you give it Outrage, you give it physical moves because its attack is higher than its special attack. But if you make it special attack, I mean, you got moves like Draco Meteor at your disposal as opposed to Outrage because it's 20 base power stronger. I think Outrage is base 120 and Draco Meteor is base 140. But that's getting into stuff that I don't really need to get into right now. But just looking at it, it's a big badass. It's Dragonite. It's coming in at number uno. So, I'm going to go ahead and recap. Number 10, Exeggutor. Underrated Pokemon in my opinion. It's pretty good. Number 9, Gengar. Who doesn't love Gengar? Number 8, Venusaur, just because we had to have the starters on there. Number 7 is Lapras. 6 is the big ass Snorlax. 5 is my favorite, Blastoise. 4 is probably what most people are going to consider a little underrated, even at number 4. Charizard. Coming in at number 3 is the boss, Gyarados. Number 2 is the legend, Arcanine. And number 1 is going to be the Dragonite. So, I would like to thank you all for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, be sure to check out my other content. Like, favorite, subscribe. And I will see you guys all next time. Be sure to be looking out for my other content. Peace.